Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Imani and I am a beauty, fashion, and lifestyle YouTuber. Today, I'm not talking about any of those things again. I really need to change my intro. I need some intro ideas because I don't know. If you can help me out, leave something in the comments below because I don't know how to introduce myself anymore. Anyway, today I'm sharing all about the differences between the private practice setting and the school setting or education setting in speech language pathology. I am super excited because I'm sharing my own experience. That's all I know. So I'm sharing that in this video and I can't wait for you guys to see it. Let's get right into it. Okay guys, so one of the first differences between the private practice setting and the school setting is first the actual treatment. In the private practice setting, from what I've seen and what I've experienced, you mainly see kids and adults in individual sessions rather than group sessions. Now, I had a ton of groups in the school setting just because of demands and mandates and schedules, so it was just easier that way. Also, some mandates on IEPs call for group settings and then others call for individual. But within this private practice setting, it's literally just me and the client, and it's a different experience. I do like it. It's just a difference that I'm not sure if I like better or not. Honestly, the groups were fun because it reminded me of like a classroom, and that's like my background. I come from like a education background, so it was fun in that respect. But it was also really challenging because you're targeting so many different goals within one group, and it is not easy. It is something that I worked on up until I finished my last day. And it's definitely something that I have in my head that I want to continue working on. So it's something that is it just exists. Some people like it, some people don't. It depends on your own personal interests and preferences. Okay, the second thing that makes these two settings different is there's a lot less distractions within the private practice setting. And by that, I mean that SLPs don't have as many roles within these settings. From what I've seen in my experience at my clinical placement, the SLPs mainly have one job, and that is to treat. You just go back to back to back and you treat all of your clients and then you go home. So it's very different than being in a school setting where you may get called to cover someone. Maybe something comes up and now you can't do your session, you have to do a field trip or something like that. And the SLP that I worked with, she was literally all over the place because she was so great and she was called upon in a lot of instances. So it's definitely something that I can see people liking but also not liking. When you're in the private practice setting, you are literally just like closing your door, doing what you have to do, and it's really, really different. It's something that I'm getting used to because... So the third difference is there's a lot more varied disorders within the private practice setting, and there's even varied age within the private practice setting. So when I worked in the middle school, I saw middle schoolers all around the same age. A lot of the kids were working on the same goals. Some were a little bit more medically complex, meaning that some had like CP, cerebral palsy. I had one little girl who had a trach. But otherwise than that, it was pretty much most of the same things that we were working on. Now in the private practice setting, there is so many more varied patients. I have kids that are preschool age, like babies that are working on just trying to vocalize for the first time, to verbalize what they want. I have other kids who are working on signing. I will be seeing adults pretty soon. I have older kids who are working on like life skills, like learning money. So it is so different within the private practice setting. You see a little bit of everything. It makes it fun, and it makes it interesting, and you know, it is really, really cool to see all the different types of disorders in one place in one day. Here's a huge difference between the two. It's the hours. The hours are so different. As you can probably pick up. I mean, like, hello. So when you work in a school, the hours are what, like 7 to 3, 7 to 4, maybe 8 to 2, depending on what kind of school. Basically, you're gonna start in the morning and end like mid-afternoon. But within the private practice setting, the hours are really different because clients are able to come in after school, after work, and their parents may drop them off. And in order to do that, the hours have to be late enough. So I start at about 1:30 in the afternoon and I finish at about 7. And this is kind of, from what I've heard, this is consistent with a lot of other medical settings. Your hours are gonna go like a little bit later just because of the nature of the setting. So this is something that for me is a huge difference. It's something for me to get used to because I am a morning person. I am used to teacher hours. I don't love them, but it does work for me. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm used to being at work at like the crack of dawn. Like I used to get to work by like 5:30 on some days. So, you know, and then finishing in the early afternoon and being done. So it's really, really different to have these hours. I'm glad I'm getting this experience. I'm not sure if I like it, but some people surely do like it. Maybe if you have kids, you're able to put them on the bus and then go to work after. I could see it working in that way. So I don't know, it depends on you and your preference. Again, it always does, doesn't it? So along with my other point about the SLPs in private practices having a lot actually, less distractions, along with that, there's a lot less like variation in your day. So for me at the private practice, I have a set client caseload that I see Tuesdays and Thursdays every week, and it doesn't really change. There's no break in the day. Excuse me. That's gross. Like, there's really no changes. I come in and I do the same thing every single day. The only thing that would change is if like a client does not come that day to therapy, then of course things would change. But otherwise than that, the day is pretty much the same. And the last difference between these two settings is that there's a lot more evaluations within the clinical or private practice setting than there is in the school setting. At least for me, as a student clinician, I did probably maybe like 2 or 3, 4, I would say maybe like 4 or 5 evaluations on kids, and they were pretty much the same. I think I had 1 articulation client, but the rest, like we did the Goldman-Fristow test. I don't know if you know that one. Fristow. Goldman-Fristow test. It's a test of articulation. So I did that like 1 time. The rest was like the same type of language, receptive language, expressive language tests. Other like academic tests for kids who have like learning disabilities. But otherwise than that, I didn't do that many evaluations in the school setting. Whereas now I am getting my first few evaluations in the private practice setting, and girl, I am scared, okay? I am scared, I am nervous. I have like a stroke client coming in next week, well this week. Tomorrow, I think tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? It's either tomorrow or Thursday, and I'm nervous because number one, it's an adult. I'm not really used to working with adults, and also it's just a different population, a different disorder. I'm really excited though, because once I have this experience under my belt, I can use it and go forward and feel a lot more confident. But there's just a lot more evaluations in general within the private practice setting, and you have to know a bit more about like standardized tests, different measures, and that's just the nature of the game. And this also just goes along with the varied disorders that you see, because there's so many different types of disorders. You're gonna do so many different types of evaluations and just more of them. Oh, something that I want to add too is there's a lot more parent interaction within the private practice setting. I think I connect with parents like every single day because they are either dropping off their kids or picking up their kids. And to me, this does make it a little bit more convenient because I can readily express what I'm working on with the client and what the parent can do at home. I can also ask quick questions if I have. It's like a quick check-in, it's easy, and I can establish that rapport so that the parent knows that their child or the person that they're providing care to is in good hands. Whereas in the school setting, it was a little bit more challenging to get in touch with parents unless there was like an IEP meeting or a parent-teacher conference, which I didn't really go to as a student clinician. Unless there's one of those things, you're not that readily connected to the parents. It just takes a little bit more to like reach out and get phone numbers and all of that stuff. So that's all that I can think of for now for the differences between the private practice setting and also the school or education setting. I really hope that this gave you some insight. Let me know what setting that you're interested in for your own speech pathology career. I know a lot of people are decided, unlike me. I have no clue, but maybe you do. Leave it in the comments below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching, and do not forget to like and subscribe as well. Bye.